Hello! We are having our first sunny, clear, bright day in New York in a while, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm out walking around at what used to be an old prison here in Orange County, New York, and now it's this lovely park, and it's just absolutely beautiful out. I thought I'd take you with me and talk about knitting. And as always, if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Brooke. I'm a knitter and lover of all things creativity and creative community. I'm glad you're here. I started knitting in November or December of 2024, so it's been, just over a year for me. And while I still feel like a beginner in many ways, I have to admit that my skills have improved, and not just my skills, but my confidence with knitting. I feel much more comfortable embarking on projects of larger scales and different skill sets now, and I'm really grateful for that. And I wanted to talk today about something I wish that people told me when I began knitting. So let's get into it. So a couple things I wish people told me when I started knitting. First of all, something I did that I regret is messing around buying a bunch of different crap that I didn't need. Once you know you love it, like once you've made a couple of things and you're like, I really like this and I want to do this as a hobby, just invest in quality. And I don't mean you have to spend a lot of money. I more so mean, like, if you know you're going to be doing this, like I spent a lot of the time buying a bunch of different types of cheap needles. If investing in quality feels like it's going to be too expensive for you right now, buy like one or two nicer pairs of needles. You can get good needles for like $10-15 a pair, and just get like one or two sizes that you know you'll use most frequently for like a lot of different projects. But if you can invest in a quality set, interchangeable set, I would go ahead and do that. It took me probably 9-10 months to invest in an interchangeable set, and I wish I just went ahead and did that sooner, because now I feel like I own a bunch of needles that I don't use and I just am going to get rid of anyway. So that is one thing that I would definitely change and do differently. Very easy to get into this hobby and see really colorful, cool yarn stashes and see like the abundance of yarn that people have, and to feel like you need that. Like you need a lot of yarn to be a knitter, you need to have a stash built up, anything like that. No, you do not need a yarn stash. In fact, I recommend not having one. I bought a lot of yarn, spent a lot of money that I didn't need to, especially starting out a hobby. Buy the yarn for the projects you are most excited about, maybe 1 to 2 projects at a time, and that's it. You really don't need to spend a lot of money on this hobby, investing in yarn that you're gonna find you just end up not even really using, So you don't need a big yarn stash. I know that they're really cool to see, like vlogs of people destashing and stuff, but you don't need it. It's not necessary. In fact, I think this is a hobby that lends itself to minimalism, where you can just work on like 1 or 2 projects at a time and get the yarn for those projects. And I think something that goes with like seeing yarn stashes online is just don't get intimidated by what you see online. There's a lot of people who are advanced at knitting, and it's so inspiring to watch what they're doing. And don't let it choke you up that you're not at their level, or that you can't knit a sweater in a week or anything like that. Like, those are skills that people have built over years. And often I would say, especially on social media, we see the results, we don't see the process and the progress built up over time, which is part of why I started my channel, right? I wanted to show the process and the progress built up over time. Don't let not seeing other people's process and progress intimidate you just because you're only seeing their end result of years of, knitting and practicing and trial and error. Like, you don't need to be perfect overnight. This hobby is about exploration. But also say with that, don't get discouraged. Like, you're gonna have to frog stuff, start over, rip things out. It's fine. It's totally fine. I'm working on my Rumi Raglan sweater, and I knit the yoke too deep, and I picked up too many stitches. I ended up having 97 sleeve stitches, and I was like, these sleeves are huge. What's going on? I frogged the sleeve. I started over. I'm up the ribbing of the sleeve now. So honestly, like, yeah, I wouldn't get discouraged if you feel like you have to start over. It's all a part of the learning progress and this is a hobby that you're never gonna master, right? Like, we're always gonna need to approach it with beginner's mind. And I think that can be the beauty of it, is that we're not gonna have it be perfect every time, especially as we're learning. So just really don't be hard on yourself, and don't be discouraged with yourself if it takes a little bit longer than you think to get a project off the needles or completed, or if you stumble. And with that, I would also say it is so helpful to have a sense of community with this hobby. Go to a local knitting meetup, or go to classes at a local yarn store if you can, or start your own meetup. That's what I did. I didn't really see locally that there was a meetup anywhere that interested me. So my friend, who's on Instagram at Kira Stitches, and I, we started a little knitting group meetup locally, and we're having so much fun doing it. We've made the most amazing friends, and it's been really helpful to run ideas by people. Also just to feel like you have encouragement, you have people like in live time to ask questions to. I often use TikTok as a resource for knitting. Like, if I'm stuck, I'll make a video and like 10 people will answer, you know, how to do it. But if you're not comfortable doing that, go to a local knitting place, knitting meetup, and ask questions. Use it as a resource. I find this community of people to be so kind and so generous with like their time and energy and what they know about knitting. I just would really encourage you to get in person with some people as often as you can, because, you know, you don't want to be creating an isolation, especially when you get stuck and have questions. Also, walking by this like giant smokestack now, it's a really beautiful area over here. The last thing I'll say to you, and probably the most important, is don't wait to call yourself a fiber artist. Don't wait to identify yourself with this hobby. You don't need to be perfect at it to claim space in the community. We want you here, and we're glad you're here. Just practicing trying something makes you part of the community, right? So just don't be afraid to mess up and get creative, and like, we need your voice and we need your skill set, because you're going to do something we couldn't have thought of, and it's going to be really cool and exciting for all of us other knitters in your community to cheer you on and see you grow. Comment down below when you started knitting, how long you've been knitting for. I would love to hear whether you're advanced knitter or beginner knitter, where you're at in your journey. I consider myself an advanced beginner, but also, who cares about labels? I've been knitting for, you know, a little over a year, and it's completely transformed my life. I'm wearing my Perfect Day beanie and my Sophie scarf as I'm out on this walk, and I love knitting things that have, you know, taken up practical space in my wardrobe. And that's probably the most powerful thing about this hobby, is it giving me the space to have slow fashion be a part of my life, and to create things from my own hands. Speaking of which, my hands are freezing because I didn't bring gloves, so I'm gonna let you go here, but I hope you're enjoying your day, and I would love it if you would comment below and subscribe, and in the meantime, catch up with me on Instagram. All right, happy knitting.